right, we can't let the ink on here go to waste, so let's do one last card. So I'm just going to mist this a couple times to rehydrate that ink and stamp it down. So the technique for this is very, very similar to the one with the second generation iris card. Really, it's exactly the same thing, except a different stamp. We're doing a different background stamp, and then I've got the same die cut that I used on the other poppy card. And once again, there's more ink on there. I could likely get a third stamp out of it, but I'm just gonna put it to the side for right now. Let's dry this ink before we stamp our background. It's always nice when you can do one technique and get several cards out of it by restamping it and stuff like that. So why not? Tiny little bit in the center that's still damp that I'm just trying to dry. And when the paper curves up like this, you can also use the heat tool on the back of it, try to flatten it out a little bit. It's not going to go completely flat, but it will help even it out. There we go. I think that's dry enough. Yeah. All right, so now I've got, this one's the music stamp from that same set as the script stamp. And what I like to do with this one is I'll stamp it this way, and then rather stamp it than stamp it the exact same way all the way up, I will turn it around. Just so that it looks like a sheet of music rather than the same thing repeated over and over again. And the way to keep track of which way it is there is treble clefs and bass clefs on one side, so I just pay attention to what side I had it on last. And another thing that you could do too is instead of stamping it here, you can move it over this way as well. But it always looks a little bit better if it's not a pattern going all the way up and down. And once again, you could use just a background music stamp, that would work as well. Just something to add a little bit of texture to it. Although this one with the red, I didn't find to be quite as sparse. I easily could have created a card with it just as it was from that first stamping. But I do like the pattern background behind it. But another super quick stamp or super quick card to get together. And great for if you wanted to do a bunch of cards in one sitting, to ink up a stamp with a marker and then do a couple different stampings with it without needing to re-ink it. There we go, and once again, the die cut. So the die cut, I do like to use this liquid adhesive with. What I like to use is Distress Collage Medium, and the reason I like it, if you haven't watched a video where I've talked about it, is it dries completely clear and it also dries matte. So if anything squishes out, and especially when you're doing die cuts like this that are quite fine, if anything squishes out, it's going to be completely clear once it's dried, and it's also going to be matte, so you're never going to see that it's there. You're going to have no idea. So while your glue is wet, you want to make sure to see the edges of it and make sure it's all lined up. But there we go. That's the final result.